Story 1. I saw something in an abandoned asylum in Michigan, and I can't forget it. I grew up spending summers in Traverse City, Michigan, a quiet lake town best known for its cherries. My grandparents lived up there, and every year my parents and I would make the trip north. It always felt peaceful, untouched, the kind of place where nothing terrible ever happens. But every town has its shadows. In Traverse City, it's the old state psychiatric hospital, a massive complex of abandoned buildings that once made up one of the largest mental health institutions in the country. It shut down in the late 80s, but the bones are still there. Some of the buildings have been converted into cafes, art galleries, tourist traps, but many remain untouched. And beneath it all, a maze of brick tunnels that once connected the buildings used to move patients discreetly, especially during the freezing Michigan winters. As a teenager, I was obsessed with the place. We all were. Every local teen had some story about sneaking in, which entrances were still open, which guards had lazy patrol routes, which windows to pry loose if you wanted to get inside. Looking back, it was incredibly stupid. But at the time, it felt like a rite of passage. The fear was half the fun. It was around 10 p.m., early summer, when my friend Jason and I decided to go in again. The moonlight was dim, and most patrol guards left for the day. We wore black, parked a couple of blocks away, and slid through the same busted-out window we'd used a dozen times before. Our usual route took us up into one of the tall spires, a quiet spot with a view of the entire city. But this time, almost immediately, something felt different. There was a smell, not strong, just this faint trace of something burnt, not fire exactly. More like incense, old and strange. We paused, looked at each other, both thinking the same thing. That's new. Instead of going up the stairwell like we always did, we followed it, down a different hallway. The smell got stronger with every step. It was the only sound. Even our footsteps felt swallowed up by the silence. That's when we saw the red light. A doorway ahead of us glowed faintly, like someone had set up a campfire indoors. Rather than doing the smart thing by leaving immediately, we couldn't resist the urge to walk closer and investigate. When we finally reached the room, I audibly gasped and felt Jason grip my wrist so hard his nails left marks on my skin. As we got closer, we realized it wasn't fire. It was candles, dozens of them. Red votives, flickering low in a wide circle on the floor. We stepped into the room, and I swear I felt my blood go cold. In the center of the candle ring was a large pentagram, chalked in thick, careful lines. At its heart was the sigil of Baphomet. Around that were black feathers, and in the very center, a dead bird, bloodied, twisted, freshly sacrificed. I was raised a devout Catholic. I've seen a lot of creepy stuff in those halls before. Rusted wheelchairs, broken beds, graffiti, even animal bones. But this was something else. Intentional. Jason later told me I started mumbling prayers the moment we saw it. I don't remember doing that, but I believe him. We stood there, paralyzed. And then we heard a voice. "Welcome, friends." It was low, calm. I promise you that there was absolutely nothing friendly about the way that guy greeted us. Jason and I screamed bloody murder. We spun around. Two adult men stood in the hallway behind us, nicely dressed, like they'd come from a dinner party, but their hair was messy, and something about their eyes was wrong. Both were smiling. Wide, unblinking smiles. The one closest to me had something in his hand. I don't know what it was, maybe a blade, a ritual tool, but my brain screamed knife, and that was enough, considering they recently sacrificed a bird. Jason grabbed my arm. I didn't even need to speak. We sprinted past the two. One of them lunged, and I felt fingers graze the back of my shirt, but I ducked low and tore away. Thankfully, the occultist's hand didn't have a solid hold on me. Their footsteps followed us, fast, echoing. But this was our territory. We'd memorized these halls, these turns, these shortcuts. We vaulted through our escape window, hit the grass hard, and rolled. We kept running through the hospital grounds until we reached Jason's car with no concern for the patrol guards. We would have rather gotten caught by the guards than the occultists. I puked twice in the parking lot, whether the cause was fear, sprinting nonstop for a mile and a half, or a combination of both. I'm not sure what would have happened if the occultists caught us, but I know for certain they weren't going to crack open a beer and sing Kumbaya by the candlelight. I'm not familiar with cultic practices or satanic rituals, so I'm not sure what the men were trying to do, or if they were summoning something. Jason and I never returned to the hospital during that summer or any of the following summers. While we aren't close now that we're adults, I know that horrifying experience will keep us cemented in each other's memories until we die. We haven't set foot in that place since. Story 2. The children still play at Forest Haven. I've never told this story to anyone who didn't see it for themselves. And even then, the only people I shared it with were the 3 friends I went in with that night, and only one of them still talks to me. The others? They don't like to revisit it. They say the memories mess with their dreams. This happened in late January, about 5 years ago. I was 22, a college senior with a taste for urbex and a fascination with abandoned places. Forest Haven had been on my list for years. The old state-run facility, tucked just outside Washington, D.C., closed down officially in 1991 after decades of abuse scandals, wrongful deaths, and neglect of children with disabilities. In its prime, it was a hospital school, but even that label feels grotesque when you see the rusted cribs and the medical restraints still bolted to the walls. We weren't ghost hunters. Just 3 girls and 1 guy trying to spook ourselves before graduation. We thought we were above fear. We were so wrong. We got to Forest Haven around 11 p.m. The night was brutally cold, low 20s, maybe colder. My car's defrost barely kept up with the frost crawling across the windshield. I parked off a gravel access road that led toward the old recreational building. That structure used to be for music therapy and rope activities. Now, it's just a skeleton of brick, vines, and peeling paint. The plan was to explore one of the dormitory wings, the ones where the kids were kept. I'd read somewhere that the youngest patients were as young as 3 or 4 years old. Most never left. We climbed through a busted window on the north side, our boots crunching on shattered tile and broken glass. Immediately, the temperature dropped even more. I'm not exaggerating, it felt like walking into a freezer. My breath came out thick and white. It didn't feel abandoned. Not really. It felt like the building was waiting. We didn't even make it 10 minutes in before something happened. We had just crossed into a long hallway with doors on either side, each leading into small rooms, maybe 6 by 6, like cells. Some still had rusted bed frames. One had a mattress with the stuffing clawed out like a wild animal had been trapped inside. My friend Megan had her phone out, recording the walkthrough. She was shining her light along the hallway, narrating in a joking tone, "This is where the ghosts eat Lunchables," stuff like that. I was ahead of her when she suddenly stopped filming and said, "Guys, who's got their hand on me?" None of us was behind her. I turned around just in time to see her flinch hard, like someone tugged the back of her jacket. "There was pressure on my shoulder," she whispered, like someone was leaning on me. We all tried to laugh it off. Cold air, shadows, nerves. But it rattled her, and honestly, it rattled me too. Something felt off. The silence was too thick, too complete. We kept going, but none of us talked after that. Then we saw the handprints. I was the first to notice them. We had stopped near a window, one of the few intact ones, and I leaned against the sill to take a breath. That's when I saw them. Tiny handprints. On the inside of the glass. Not dusty imprints. Not smudges. Condensation was forming on the pane from our breath and body heat, and in the upper right corner, little handprints began appearing. 1, then 2, then 5. Each one is about half the size of my palm. Some pressed against the glass. Others slide downward, like a child dragging their fingers as they stare out. Megan backed away. She was whispering "no, no, no" under her breath. Our friend Sasha got close and snapped a picture, but the second her flash went off, every light on our phones cut out. Total darkness swallowed us. I don't mean just dark. I mean pure, suffocating black. That's when we heard the whispering. It came from both sides of the hallway, high-pitched, breathless, like children trying to get your attention without waking someone up. I couldn't make out words at first, but Megan swears she heard her name. I felt something brush my hand. I yanked back and turned, thinking one of the others was reaching for me, but they were both on the opposite wall. Then came the sound that made Sasha run. It was laughter. Soft, breathy giggling. Not playful. Not innocent. More like someone imitating the sound of children laughing. A mockery. We bolted. Blind in the dark, phones dead, slipping on tile and over debris, trying not to scream as footsteps started following ours, small ones. Fast. We ended up in a stairwell we didn't recognize, lit only by the faint glow of moonlight through a shattered skylight. Our phones flickered back on just as we reached the bottom landing. The air was colder there. Still. Like everything was holding its breath. We turned around, half expecting something to be behind us, but there was nothing. No laughter. No whispering. Just silence. That's when Megan started crying. I turned to her, confused, and that's when I saw what she was looking at. On the concrete wall, above the landing, smeared in something dark, not paint, I swear to God, was a name. Lillian. And beneath it, dozens of those same child-sized handprints, smeared and dripping. We got out. I don't remember how. I don't remember which window we climbed through, or how we found the car. I just remember running until the trees looked familiar again. When we got into my car, Sasha was shaking so bad, she dropped her phone twice. I turned the heat on full blast. I looked up into the rearview mirror, and saw handprints forming on the inside of the back windshield. They were back. Tiny, wet, everywhere. That night, I slept with the lights on. The next morning on my way out to get coffee, I took a look at my car. On my back windshield, foggy from the cold, a cluster of tiny handprints. Different directions. All small, just like last night. I've had that car for 4 years. No kids. No nieces, no cousins. Just me. I wiped them off again. They came back 2 nights later. I sold the car the next week. I never went back to Forest Haven. I still live in Maryland, but I won't drive within 10 miles of that place. Megan moved across the country. She doesn't talk about that night, and Sasha deleted all the photos from her phone. They say Forest Haven was shut down because of lawsuits, budget cuts, and bad PR. But that's not the whole truth. There's something still in there, and it doesn't forget the ones who visit. Not ever. Story 3. We explored an abandoned asylum at night and met what's still trapped there. You know those places everyone in town talks about, the ones draped in legend, whispered about after dark, but rarely actually visited? For us, that place was the old asylum. It sat just beyond the tree line, far enough from the edge of town to feel like it had been deliberately forgotten. Windows shattered, vines choking the brick. Whole wings collapsed into themselves. But even in that state, the place had a presence, like it was waiting. I'd been obsessed with it for years. The stories, the rumors, the grainy photos online. So, when my friends brought up sneaking in one night with flashlights in hand, just to see what's what, I didn't hesitate. I should've. We went in just past midnight. You know, to feel the chill of the night. There were 5 of us. Me, Tyler, Jess, Marcus, and Bree. We squeezed through a rusted metal side door that barely clung to its hinges, stepping into a place time had given up on. The air inside was thick, not just with dust and mildew, but heavier, like the building itself was holding its breath. Paint peeled in wide curls off the walls. Wheelchairs lay overturned in the hall. Every few steps, our flashlights would catch the glint of shattered glass, or something worse. We'd heard the stories growing up, that this asylum wasn't for treatment, it was for disappearance. People who didn't fit, who didn't follow the rules. A place where they were sent to be forgotten. At first, it was exciting. The thrill of doing something we weren't supposed to. The adrenaline of creeping through shadows with your heart pounding in your throat. But it didn't take long for that excitement to sour. We saw her in the East Wing. Just for a second, standing down the corridor. A woman in what looked like a nurse's uniform. We all saw her. Jess even said, "Did you guys see that?" We tried to laugh it off, tried to pretend it was our minds playing tricks. Then we saw her again. Same woman, same hallway, but closer this time. and smiling wickedly at us. Only something was wrong with the smile. It didn't reach her eyes. They looked vacant, cold. And this time, we didn't laugh it off, but we thought it was just a trick of the light. The third time we saw her, she was waiting at the end of the hallway we'd just come from. That's when the whispers started. Low at first, then louder. Screams, muffled behind rusted doors. We were surrounded by voices that shouldn't have been there. Tyler whispered, "We need to go. Now." We turned to head back, but she was there, standing in front of us. That same smile, those same dead eyes. And then, without warning, she lunged towards us, letting out a blood-curdling scream. We ran. We didn't wait, didn't scream, just ran. Panic set in as we tried to flee the building. We reached the main doors, the ones we thought would be our escape, but they were locked tight. No power, no way to pry them open. We had no choice but to keep exploring to find another exit. As we continued to explore, we noticed that things were becoming even more strange and surreal. The walls seemed to be closing in, the ceilings lower, the air colder. And then we saw her again just ahead, closer than ever. We ran as quickly as possible, with the ghostly nurse's blood-curdling scream echoing throughout the halls, sending shivers down our spines. We could feel her cold breath on our necks as we sprinted towards what we thought was a dead end. But then, a glimmer of hope, a door at the end of the hall. With the nurse right behind us, we threw open the door and slammed it shut behind us, trapping her on the other side. Jess jammed a piece of metal into the lock. We all ducked inside, collapsed, gasping for air. As we caught our breath and tried to calm our racing hearts, we realized we were locked in a small, windowless room with no obvious way out. After searching for a few minutes, Marcus noticed it, a small, leather-bound book in the corner. Dusty, torn, hidden under a piece of debris. A diary. We decide to open it up to see if there are any clues to help us escape. We flipped through the pages. The pieces began to fall into place. And we discovered that the old diary belonged to a nurse who had worked in the asylum during its darker days. It belonged to a nurse named Sarah. She'd worked in the asylum decades ago. Came in with good intentions. Believed she could make a difference. But what she discovered was far worse than rumors. The patients weren't all mentally ill. Some were simply unwanted, rebellious teenagers, people in debt, or outspoken women. And they were treated like prisoners. Sarah tried to expose what was happening, wrote everything down, reported it to the higher-ups. But no one listened. They fired her, ruined her name, and then, eventually, she was committed to the same asylum, right here, in the very place she'd tried to shut down. The last entry chilled us. They say I'm unwell now, that the walls are closing in, but I know the truth. One day, someone will find this and they'll understand what was done here, what they did to me. As I read that final line aloud, the door creaked, slow, deliberate, and there she was, standing in the doorway. Sarah. No longer just a ghost, but a memory brought back to life. And this time she didn't smile. She just looked at us, long enough for all of us to understand. She'd led us here, not to kill us, but to show us, to be heard. Then she was gone, vanished before our very eyes. We stumbled out of that asylum just as the sky started to turn pink. None of us spoke for a long time. The fear was still in our bones, but so was something else. Understanding, grief, rage. We went in there looking for scares and thrills, thinking we were going to be scared by ghosts or monsters. But the true monsters are not the ones with fangs or claws. We found something much more real. A woman whose voice had been buried, and a place that still echoes with the cries of those forgotten. Before we dive into the next story, if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe to our channel and tap the bell icon so you never miss a chilling tale. We rely on your support to keep bringing you true, terrifying stories, so please share these videos with your friends and family. Thanks for being here. Now let's continue. Story 4. I broke into an abandoned asylum in New York. I shouldn't have mocked the dead. It started as a dare, I was bartending part-time in Rockland County, saving for nursing school, when one of my regulars, Robbie, dared me to break into Letchworth Village. Said he'd give me $200 if I stayed inside one of the wards for just 1 hour. Alone. I should have walked away. But I needed the cash, and more than that, I wanted to prove I wasn't scared of ghost stories. Even if they were true. Because Letchworth? It wasn't just haunted. It was cursed. If you've never heard of it, it was a residential institution for the mentally and physically disabled. Supposed to be progressive when it opened in 1911. But by the 50s, it was overcrowded, filthy, and brutal. Kids tied to beds. Patients were covered in sores. Some were never even documented. The place officially closed in 1996, but locals still whisper about shadows in the windows, voices in the trees, even the thing that crawls between buildings after dark. I brought a flashlight, a bottle of water, and my stupid bravado. It wasn't enough. I parked off Call Hollow Road around 2:30 a.m. The moon was high, cutting through the trees just enough for me to spot the administration building's rotted frame in the distance. Robbie told me that's where the worst stuff happened. Said they performed unofficial medical experiments in the basement during the 70s, things that never made it into reports. I laughed it off. Walked in with my phone on record, talking trash the whole time. "Come on, Letchworth," I said, voice echoing. "You gonna give me a show, or what?" The air inside was thick. Not cold, just heavy, like it pressed against your lungs. I wandered the first floor for 20 minutes. Broken desks, shattered glass, rotten books, all boring. Then I reached the stairs, the ones that led down. I hesitated. Something in my gut pulled back, like a warning. But I reminded myself of $200. I went down. The basement smelled like battery acid and meat left too long in the sun. My flashlight flickered twice as I stepped onto the concrete floor. Then I heard it. Click, click, click. It sounded like metal wheels on tile. Slow, uneven. I swung my light toward the hallway and froze. A wheelchair, just sitting there, empty. But the wheels were still spinning. I didn't move. I just stood there, heart thudding, trying to rationalize. Maybe a draft? Maybe it shifted on its own? Then the lights overhead, the ones I knew weren't connected to any power, buzzed on. Not all of them. Just the row leading deeper into the hallway. Like breadcrumbs. Like an invitation. I don't know why I followed them. But I did. The hall led to a treatment room. Rusted surgical tools. Gurneys with torn straps. X-ray negatives were pinned to the wall like trophies. And then on the far side of the room, I saw a glass observation window. Behind it, another chamber. I stepped closer and nearly dropped my light. There was someone inside. At first, I thought it was a mannequin. Pale. Bald. Thin limbs bent at weird angles. But then its head jerked, fast, like it had heard something. And then it looked at me. I'm telling you, no pupils. Just white. Mouth sewn shut with thick black thread, but its chest was heaving like it was screaming behind those stitches. I stumbled back, my flashlight beam shaking wildly. That's when I noticed the scratches on the glass. Words, over and over, etched in backward script. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out. I turned to run, but I wasn't alone anymore. Standing between me and the hallway was a nurse. Or something dressed like one. Her uniform was 1960s style, crisp white, except soaked in something dark. Her face was smooth, unnaturally smooth. No mouth, no nose, just two wide, gaping eyes. She pointed behind me, and then her head twitched, snapped sideways, so fast I heard a crack. I bolted. I don't remember how I got out. I just remember sprinting up those stairs, past the wheel-spinning chair, through the rotten halls, and out into the trees, breath sharp in my throat. I didn't stop until I reached my car. But the story doesn't end there, because when I looked in the rearview mirror, a woman was sitting in the back seat, white uniform, black eyes, smiling. I screamed. I jumped out. There was no one there, but every night since, I dream of that basement, the stitched face, the glass, the message, let me out, Let me out. Let me out. I went back the next week. During the day, I needed to prove it was just my imagination. But the basement hallway? Blocked off with cement. The room with the glass window? Never existed. I asked a local historian. He said there was a wing sealed up in the 80s after a fire. Records destroyed. Patients lost. But nobody ever went back to clear the rubble. They just walled it up. And now, I think something's still inside, waiting, watching. And maybe, just maybe, it followed me home. Story 5. We saw tiny handprints on my car, then something followed me home. This happened when I was in college over winter break. I'd brought a few of my friends, all girls, all college classmates, back to my hometown for the holidays. They'd never been there before, but they had heard me talk about one place in particular, the old psychiatric hospital. It's been abandoned for decades. Massive, fenced off, barely visible from the road, but anyone who grew up in that town knows exactly where it is. I told them I'd snuck in a few times in high school. Stupid stuff. Flashlights, dares, and trying to scare each other. But this time, we weren't going in. Just driving past costs, that's a story for another day. It was January. Snow on the ground. Freezing temperatures. I pulled up alongside the hospital and parked near the side of the building. We weren't there to explore, just to see it. To sit for a minute in the silence and soak in how massive and lifeless the place felt. The car heater was still running. We sat there talking for a while, but eventually the windows fogged up. I flipped the air over to cool to start defogging the glass. That's when my friend in the back seat said, "Do you see that?" She was pointing to the top right corner of the rear windshield. At first, I didn't notice anything. But then, as the fog cleared, we all saw it. Tiny handprints, all over that top corner. Dozens of them. They weren't smeared, they were clear. Palms. Fingers. Pressed as if from the inside. And they weren't all facing the same direction either. Some sideways. Some upside down. Like little hands had been crawling across the glass. I got out of the car. Walked around the back. I held my palm up to compare. They were way smaller than my hand. Child-sized. Here's the thing. No kids had ever been in my car. I didn't have younger siblings. None of my friends did either. My parents didn't have grandkids around. And I definitely would have noticed something like this before. And I have never seen it before that night. I was freaked out, but my other friend in the front seat decided to be brave. She grabbed a tissue and tried wiping the prints away. Some came off, but not all of them. They just lingered, even when she scrubbed harder, even when I used my sleeve. A few of them just wouldn't budge. It freaked us out. We left. What scared me the most was what I experienced after I got home that night. I dropped everyone off that night and made the long drive back to my current home, about 2 hours away. My family had moved out of that town when I left for college, so my old house wasn't even ours anymore. By the time I got home, it was after midnight. I was tired, cold, still unsettled. But eventually, I went to bed. I sleep on my back, arms above the blanket, always have. Sometime in the middle of the night, I felt something. It wasn't a sound, not a dream. It was a tug. Someone was pulling gently on my forearm. It was so light at first, I thought, Grandma? She passed away 15 years ago. I don't know why that was my first thought. Maybe because it felt familiar. Gentle, like a tap to wake me up. Then came the second tug. Harder. Then a third. Even harder. Fast. Like whatever it was trying to yank me out of bed. And just like that, I knew. This wasn't my grandma. Whatever it was, it didn't feel comforting anymore. It felt wrong. Cold. Violent. My entire arm moved. It wasn't a muscle twitch or a dream reflex. I felt a grip, a tight one, and for a second, I was sure something was there. I can't explain it well, but whatever it was, it felt evil. The first seemed innocent, but the next two tugs felt evil. But when I looked, nothing. I lay frozen, heart racing, staring at the ceiling, too afraid to even move my arms. Eventually, somehow, I fell asleep again. But I didn't put my arms back above the blanket. I don't think it was a dream, because it felt so real. I clearly remember my thoughts, every detail, and how it felt. It was something like sleep paralysis, but I've had sleep paralysis before, and it wasn't like this. That was 4 years ago. I still don't sleep with my arms above my covers. Not anymore. Story 6. There's a room at Danvers State Hospital they never put on the blueprints. I used to be a security contractor. Back in 2008, I got hired on a temporary gig to provide site monitoring during the early stages of demolition at Danvers State Hospital, an asylum in Massachusetts. Some of the structures were already being converted into apartments, but the original Kirkbride building, yes, that one, wasn't fully torn down yet. I was there for 12 overnight shifts in a row. 12 nights were all it took to mess up the rest of my life. Because there's a room inside Danvers that nobody ever documented. No blueprint, no door tag, no record. It's just there. And I swear on my mother's grave, someone's still in it. The place had a reputation long before I ever stepped foot on the property. Locals called it Hell House on the Hill. Built in 1874, the massive Gothic spires, narrow hallways, and underground tunnels. At its peak in the 1920s, Danvers housed over 2,000 patients. By the 40s, they were performing frontal lobotomies like routine checkups. Hundreds of people went in, never came back out. You probably know the cliché by now. Shadows moving, doors slamming, disembodied voices. But I didn't believe any of that. Until night 3. I was posted near the old East Wing. Everything had been gutted except a few lower halls and an intact stairwell that used to lead to the medical wards. My job was to monitor any unauthorized entry, no ghost hunting teens, no YouTubers, no squatters. Around 2:47 a.m., the hallway motion detector blinked red. Just once. Now, those things don't trigger unless something moves. I figured maybe a rat tripped the sensor. But protocol's protocol. I want to check it out. And I wish I hadn't. Because when I got there, the hallway was ice cold. Like stepping into a freezer. I walked past an old gurney and noticed something off about the wall to my left. It was the only spot that didn't match the blueprint. Instead of smooth brick, it had newer drywall. Poorly patched, like someone had sealed a door behind it. I stood there, staring at it. And then, I heard knocking. 3 soft taps. From the other side, I backed away slowly. Didn't even radio it in. That's how you get labeled the crazy one. I came back the next night with a crowbar. Look, I know it sounds stupid, but I needed to know. I needed to prove it was just a bad patch job or maybe a collapsed crawl space. So, I pried open the drywall. And behind it, it was a black iron door. No label, no handle, just a circular keyhole that looked like it hadn't been used in 50 years. When I leaned close to inspect it, I heard something. Not knocking this time. Breathing.
Low. Shaky.
Ragged. I stumbled back so fast I nearly fell into the gurney behind me. The breathing stopped. Then I heard whispering right against my ear. He's still here. I spun around. Nobody. Just an empty hallway. I resealed the wall and left early. Said I had food poisoning. But it didn't stop there. Every night after that, I heard footsteps pacing above me. But the floor above had already been stripped down to beams. No floor. No way to walk on it. Sometimes the motion sensors would go haywire, flickering up and down the halls in patterns. Almost like Morse code. I looked it up one night. It's spelled BLOOD. On night 11, I checked the drywall again. It had been resealed. Perfectly. Like I had never touched it. The drywall was smooth, painted to match the hall. No marks, no cracks. I even ran my fingers across it, seamless. But my crowbar? It was sitting in front of it, bent in half. I finally told the site manager. He went pale. Didn't even try to laugh it off. Instead, he said something I'll never forget. That wing was shut in '78 after a nurse disappeared. Whole damn room bricked over. No official report. Families threatened to sue, so they buried it, literally. Never supposed to exist in the first place. I quit the next day. Thought that would be the end of it. But 2 weeks after I left, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just a Polaroid inside. A picture of the same hallway. Same drywall. Except this time, the wall was gone. And standing in the dark doorway was a man.
Tall, thin,
Head tilted at a painful angle, and a mouth that stretched too wide. There was writing on the back of the photo. One sentence in trembling ink. "He's not done with you." It's been years since Danvers was torn down, but sometimes in the middle of the night, I hear tapping from inside my bedroom wall. 3 soft knocks, just like before. And in the quiet between breaths, I swear I hear whispering, "He's still here." Or it may just be paranoia. 'Cause my time in Danvers State Hospital is one I'll never forget. Story 7. The Ghost Woman of Springfield Mental Hospital. I used to live in Maryland, about 45 minutes northwest of Baltimore. The area's old, real old. The kind of place where every road has a story and every house has a past. Before I moved to Virginia and became a full-time paranormal investigator, I knew the stories. I'd driven past the grounds. But this was the first time I was stepping inside. The place that started it all. Springfield Mental Hospital. The hospital was originally a private estate, a working farm, built in the 1700s by a man named William Patterson, the same guy who ran the British blockade and got rich off it. In 1895, the state converted the land into a psychiatric hospital. By 1896, they started taking patients. Back then, they didn't lock the doors. No barred windows. And the strange thing was the patients behaved well enough. The new buildings were designed without locks or bars at all. By the 1940s, it was overcrowded, with over 3,000 patients packed into that complex. And eventually, the state moved operations to smaller, more modern buildings. The historic ones? They were just left behind. Abandoned. Empty. But not quite. Fall 2012. My friend, we'll call him M for privacy reasons, and I went out to the old hospital to do our first real investigation. We'd done our research. We weren't amateurs. We had photos, a map of the campus, and we'd marked out every location with reported paranormal activity. We got there around 10 p.m., and almost immediately something felt off. Heavy.
sad.
Like the air itself was remembering pain. Thousands of lives had passed through here, and some, we believed, might have never truly left. Our first stop was the old main building. It was a shell. Walls crumbling, paint peeling off in chunks, shattered glass across the floor. Walls cracked. Signs of years of decay and corrosion. Mother Nature had not treated this building well. You could tell that once, it had been beautiful. Intricate masonry, hand-built archways now swallowed by rot and time. As soon as we entered, we felt eyes on us from every direction. Inside, it was worse. The floors were covered in glass, debris, and forgotten furniture. We kept walking. We made our way deeper. At one point, we had to climb over a collapsed section of the wall just to keep moving. Em took photos every few steps, as we wanted to have a good chance of capturing something. After making our way through the dilapidated building for about 10 minutes, we found a small room that was surprisingly bare, so we went in and sat down to conduct an EVP session. I began recording with my iPhone audio recorder, and we took turns asking various questions such as, are there any spirits here that wish to communicate? Did you pass away in this hospital? Why were you admitted here? Do you like that we're in your building? After about 20 minutes of this, I stopped the audio recorder, and we began reviewing the recording. But then, while reviewing the audio, I started hearing something else. Footsteps. Not on the recording, in real life. Just outside the room. It sounded like shuffling sounds in the hallway. We froze. Then came another sound, something wooden dropping hard to the floor. We rushed to the hallway. There, about 5 feet from the door, was a 3-foot plank of wood lying in the hallway about 5 feet from the doorway. M noted that he had taken a picture of the piece of wood. He pulled up a photo he'd taken earlier, and in that photo, the plank was 15 feet away from where it now lay. Something or someone had moved it. We documented this, and decided to continue further into the building. Still, we pressed on. The deeper we went, the worse the feeling got. Being watched. Being followed. About an hour and a half later, We arrived at an area that felt like we needed to go in, but the space felt different, like something was pulling me in. I couldn't tell exactly what it was because of the debris. The area was too small for both of us, so I told Em to keep filming while I entered. I stepped over the debris alone and stepped into what I assumed was a small hospital room. No flashlight, just the dim glow from a night vision camera app one recently downloaded on my iPhone. I scanned the room with it and realized the room was long, narrow. It looked like it might have once been a patient's room. I took a few steps in, and then I stopped. There was something in the room with me. I couldn't see it at first, but I felt it like something was in my way blocking me, and so I asked out loud, "If you're here, show yourself." What happened next changed my life and caused me to further my paranormal work. And that's when I saw her. A figure slowly began to form out of the darkness in the far right corner of the room. It was a woman, wearing a turquoise hospital gown that you see in hospitals. Pale skin, shoulder-length brown hair, eyes so dark green they looked almost black in the night vision. Her face was covered in bruises and cuts. She wasn't floating, she walked. Normally, softly.
Toward me.
Nothing was threatening about her, but she looked shattered.
Sad.
Lonely, like she hadn't spoken to anyone in a long time. She came close, maybe 6 to 8 feet from me, and just stood there. We made eye contact. What stuck in my mind is how sad, lonely, and scared she looked. She looked surprised but relieved that I was there. I later found out through doing a spirit box session in a later investigation of the hospital that she was a patient, and she stayed there for 7 years. She didn't know why she was there, and she informed us that she couldn't find her way out and that she'd been looking for someone to help her. I stood still and speechless, staring at this female apparition, and after what felt like years, she spoke. Her words changed me as a person. She said 5 words: "Death is not the end." Her voice was sorrowful, and I had never heard any voice like it in my entire life. She stayed there looking at me for several more minutes, and then she turned, walked back to the other side of the room, and then she was gone. I don't know how long I stood there, not moving and not saying anything. I had no idea how to process what had just happened. A female spirit had appeared, walked up to me, and had spoken directly to me. I know this wasn't a hallucination because I don't have any history of it, and neither does my family. I wasn't sleep deprived because I had slept for nearly 7 hours the day of the investigation to prepare myself. After what felt like ages, I heard him calling for me, and I slowly walked out of the room and made my way to him. I told him what happened, and he was absolutely in shock. That night changed my life. That was my first real encounter with a spirit, and it was nothing like I expected. You don't have to believe me. Some people won't, and that's fine. But I know what I saw, what I felt, what I heard, and I'll never forget it. We've come to the end of the series today, and if you made it this far, you're braver than most. These were just a few of the true experiences people have chosen to share, but we know there are more out there. Maybe even yours. If you've lived through something strange, something you can't explain, share in the comments, or just send me a direct email. We might feature your story next. And if you want more real, spine-chilling encounters just like these, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share this video with someone who thinks they don't believe in ghosts. We post new terrifying true stories every week. Sleep light tonight.